Ecclesiastes is kind of close to the middle of the Bible, and it's a great, great book. And the reason I like it so much is because it was written by a guy that was known as being the wisest man to live. Okay, the wisest man to live. And before we dive in here, because wisdom, and you're going to hear wise and the word wisdom a whole lot tonight. Okay, what does it mean to be wise? Okay, here's what it means to be wise. Okay, wisdom does not mean knowledge. It doesn't mean smartness or anything like that. Okay, it doesn't mean that you have a lot of information stored up in your head. Wisdom is knowing the difference between right and wrong and choosing to do right. The opposite of wise is someone who is a fool, okay? You would never want to be called a fool, okay? Because a fool is knowing the difference between right and wrong and choosing to do wrong. Okay, so there's kind of the difference there that you guys are going to, that you're going to hear quite a good bit in this series. And we're going to take 3 weeks and go through Ecclesiastes, okay? Somebody asked me today, how long is the book of Ecclesiastes? It's 12 chapters, okay? And they said, well, are we going to go through like the whole book? It's going to be like 12 weeks long? No, okay? We are going through it in 3 weeks, okay? And let me just tell you two things about this book, Ecclesiastes. Number one, it's very repetitive. Okay, and you know, I've heard a lot of people say that they have heard messages on the gospel like many times, and they say, "Why do I have to hear the gospel so many times?" Well, my answer to them is, you might need to hear the gospel that many times. You might be lost, and it usually takes a person about 7 times to hear the gospel before they actually respond to the gospel. And so, if you ever want to be able to read through an entire book of the Bible, okay, 12 chapters is not a whole lot, and it's very repetitive, which means it's very important. If your parents tell you to do something twice in 5 minutes, okay, that doesn't mean they're trying to be annoying to you, even though that's exactly how they're coming across to you. They're trying to let you know, hey, this is really important. And Solomon, okay, King Solomon, he was David's son. Okay, and King David, okay, as you know, David who killed Goliath, and Solomon was his son, known as the wisest man to ever live, and he did a lot. He was a king at the time. He wrote the book. He did a lot of great things. He wrote Proverbs, okay. Proverbs is very repetitive, okay. It talks about kind of 3 or 4 central things throughout the 31 chapters of Proverbs. He wrote Ecclesiastes, okay, which is the book we're going through, and he wrote the short book called Song of Solomon. Okay, the Song of Solomon is all about sex. It's for married people. It talks about the beauty of sex, and sex is not this degrading thing that we as humans have made it. Okay, but that sex and human relationships between a man and a woman is very, very beautiful. Okay, and it's meant to be that. It's meant to be holy and set apart. And so Solomon really, man, he's just going to let you know a lot of things, a lot of times. The second thing about this book is that it's really real. Man, there's some real stuff in here. You're never going to go through that book or hear me in this series and say, Ben, what do you mean by that? Like, I don't really understand it. That's just really deep. Like, you're probably not going to be answering, asking that question, okay? A lot of the stuff is going to be really simple, straightforward, not difficult to understand. You might end up saying, Ben, dude, I wish you would just hush, because what you're saying right now is the Holy Spirit is convicting me. Will you please just be quiet, because you're talking to me right now, and I don't want to hear that because I want to live my own life, and will you please just be quiet? And that's my goal. That's what the Spirit's goal is to help you change your life. Is to help you realize what's important and what's not important. What should matter in your life as opposed to what does matter in your life. And so for the next 3 weeks, we're going to lay the foundation, and this is all going to end at kind of a peak or a pinnacle at the end. And then the next week, which is November the 18th, we're going to have an awesome praise and worship. It's going to praise and worship service. It's going to be, and it's just going to be praising God, thanking God. It's going to kind of be our Thanksgiving service. We're going to have a Thanksgiving meal. It's going to the whole thing is just going to be full of praise and thanks to God. And that's going to be on November the 18th. It's going to be absolutely crazy awesome, and I hope you're able to come. And And that's going to be right before your Thanksgiving break, and then we're going to end this semester talking about how we can be servants of Christ, how we can serve, how we can go, how we can share Christ and those kind of things, and that's how we're going to end the semester. And so the series that I feel like we were supposed to call this is Pointless Pursuits. And let me break this down a little bit. First, pointless. You know, there have been quite a few things in my life that I've done that have just been straight up pointless like. This semester, I bought a book. By the way, I'm in school just like you guys are, 31 years old, still in school. And for my Old Testament class, okay, they told us we needed to buy this particular book and that we're going to read this book. And getting into the book, I looked on the syllabus, you know, it kind of tells you what you're going to do. And I realized that we're going to read this book when we went to our hybrid weekend, which basically means, you know, most of the class is online, but I had to go up to Raleigh or Wake Forest, North Carolina. I had to make the 5-hour drive up there, and I was going to meet my professor and see my classmates and different things like that. And I did that a couple months ago. And we were supposed to just go through this book. That was supposed to be the weekend. I mean, this was a pretty long book. It was a very dense book. It was very tough to read. It was definitely not the book, like the book of Ecclesiastes. It was very, you had to really concentrate on it. And the professor says, you know, he says, hey, by the way, that book that you guys bought, don't worry about it. It's just a really good book for you to put on your shelf, and we're not really going to go over it this weekend. I wanted to hit him, you know what I mean? Like I do not like you anymore. Like, you're an awesome guy. Like, you can really teach, but like, I really do not like you right now because here I am studying through this book and we didn't even go through it. Man, it was absolutely pointless for me to buy that book. That book was like $25. He said, that's not a lot of money. It's a lot of money to me. They can get me 5 meals at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was important money. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, I was like, man, that's just absolutely pointless. And, you know, I think we all, right? I mean, I think all of us have, done, you know, been in situations where it's just been pointless. It's just dumb. And whether we brought that on ourselves or whether we were just a part of a situation that was just pointless, that's what it was. And then pursuits. Okay, what is pursuit? Pursuit is something that you invest your time in. A pursuit is something that you go after, that you pour yourself into, that you follow, that you really, really get into, and you pour a lot of your time, your money, your resources, your different things, okay, in order to put a lot of focus on that particular thing. For me, when I was your age, okay, for most of you that's been in here, you've heard me say this plenty of times. For me, when I was your age, it was girls and sports. That's what I put a lot of my stock in. Okay, I practiced a whole lot. You know, in whatever sport that was for that particular season, I tried to be good at everything. I was horrible at everything. And I tried to get as many girlfriends as I possibly could. That's just who I was. I just poured myself into it. Girls and sports was my guide. That's who I followed. That's who I poured myself into. That's who I invested my time, my energy. That's all I thought about. So let me put these things together. Pointless pursuits. There are some things in your life right now, and I'm talking to everybody in here, from the strongest Christian to the one who doesn't even know Jesus, doesn't even care about Jesus. Let me just tell you something. You are putting your stock into things that are absolutely pointless, ridiculous. I'm not going to get very many amens because I think God is talking probably to every single one of us in this room, because there are things that we pour ourselves into that's absolutely worthless. It's absolutely ridiculous that we're going after these things. You know, it kind of reminds me of like the dumbest animal to ever be on the earth. Okay, now a lot of you, when you see this animal, don't put it up there yet, please. When you see this animal, you're really going to probably be mad at me. Okay? But I think the dumbest animal on the face of the planet is this one right here. Can I get an amen from somebody here? All right, raise your hand if you love hamsters. Okay, a lot of you are saying, look, they're so cute. Yeah, they're creepy too. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're cute and creepy, okay? Like, look at this. I mean, doesn't that just scare you? That's going to give you nightmares tonight, right? That's going to give me mine. I can't look at it anymore. I mean, the hamster is just like, why? I mean, it's just like a groomed up rat. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that what it is, you know? Some of y'all are like really mad at me right now. Like, you're going to throw a pumpkin and bust me in my head. But I'm just telling you. And let me just tell you, okay? Let me just tell you why I think they're pointless. This is what they like to do. I mean, really, okay? They're running on a wheel. For how long, y'all? Forever. They never stop. They never get tired. They never pant. They never do any of that junk. They just keep going. I mean, you talking about Energizer Bunny? Okay, this is better than Energizer Bunny. You know what I mean? Hey, this thing will keep on going. And the reason why they're so dumb is because they think they're actually going somewhere. But they're not. No, they're trying to get to heaven, but they just can't make it. That'll preach. Sorry. Let me get serious with you for a minute. Some of you guys are doing this right here. Let me tell you something. You're running on this wheel, and guess what? You're running fast. You're sprinting. You're staying on it for a long time. And guess what? You're not getting anywhere. It's pointless. It's ridiculous. People have tried to tell you, hey, you look just as ridiculous as this hamster right here. But you keep running on the stinking wheel. And I don't want you to be like that. I don't want you to live your life in a way that is just ridiculous. So tonight, we're just going to lay the foundation. And the foundation of this entire book is the foundation of his other major book, and that's Proverbs. It's all about wisdom. It's all about being wise. It's all about making the right choice. And Solomon, in one chapter, we're going to focus on one chapter. We're not going to go through every single verse. We're going to go through pretty much the entire chapter. And that's Ecclesiastes chapter 7, okay? As you see in your outline, Ecclesiastes chapter 7. You got the verses up there, okay, but I'm going to kind of reverse back to the verses, and you will see, right, what verses we're talking about during what verse, during what point, and those kind of things. And there are three things, okay, that Solomon, okay, if you don't have to leave, this is the time you don't leave. This is where it's getting really practical, okay? Hold your pee if you can, okay? There are three things that Solomon really, 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 really wants us to get when it comes to wisdom, because wisdom is very, very important. So if you got a pen, get your outlines out. Here's the three things that wisdom helps. Okay, first one. Wisdom helps us make life better. Wisdom helps us make life better. In 10 verses, Solomon gives us 4 things that are better than other things. And a lot of you, you're probably going to look at me with some weird eyes like this, like, really? Like, Solomon really said that? And you're going to learn a lot, because what Solomon says, okay, he means something a little bit deeper, a little bit different than the way it sounds, okay? And that's kind of what we're going to go for tonight. So here are the 4 things that Solomon says is better than something else. Here's the first one. Sorrow is better than laughter. Verses 1 through 4. It says, a good reputation is more valuable than costly perfume. And the day you die is better than the day you are born. Better to spend your time at funerals than at parties. After all, everyone dies, so the living should take this to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for sadness has a refining influence on us. A wise person thinks a lot about death, while a fool thinks only about having a good time. Now, I know that if I were to ask each and every one of you if you would much rather go to a birthday party of your best friend or go to a funeral of anybody, what would you choose? You would probably choose to go to the birthday party. Birthday parties produce laughter. Funerals produce crying. A lot of crying. But Solomon here says that it's better to go to a funeral than to a party. And that's crazy to think. But let me just tell you something. Yes, laughter can be medicine to a broken heart. We understand that. Like, a lot of people have said, laughter is the best kind of medicine. Yeah, what kind of medicine for? Well, for a broken heart. If your heart is broken, if you're sad or upset about something, if somebody that you know can really make you laugh, you want to call them and let them make you laugh because that's what you need. Laughter helps a broken heart. But also, sorrow can be nourishing food to the inner soul. We don't think about the inner soul very much because we're all about the here and now. And we don't think that sorrow does anything good for our life. And let me just tell you something. Sorrow builds your inner soul. I know you can't see that. I know that seems kind of poetic and kind of deep and kind of whatever, Ben. But sorrow is actually really, really good. Let me just tell you what Solomon is going for here. There are days of birth, right? Everybody knows that. There are days of death. And the reason why birth, the reason why it's so good is because it's new life. And you see the beauty of God through babies and see them grow up. And you see their personality like Bennett. Like I've been able to for almost 3 years see his personality and just who he is and who God made him. Man, this is really awesome. There's been a lot of laughter in my home over the last 2.5 years. It's been really, really great. And then I've been to funerals. It's sad. But Solomon's basically saying, listen, you got to have some balance in your life. And wisdom understands that. Only wisdom understands that. Like only wise people understand that you need both happiness and sadness in your life in order to build the person that he wants you to be in your life. And so both of them are very important for the experience of your life. The second thing that he says that is better, verses 5 and 6, is rebuke is better than praise. Rebuke is better than praise. Verse 5 and 6 says, better to be criticized by a wise person than to be praised by a fool. A fool's laughter is quickly gone, like thorns crackling in a fire. This also is meaningless. It's important to have people in your life that are going to rebuke you in love. Here's a guy that I want to show you. His name is Jonathan Bass. Put this up there for me. Jonathan Bass, okay? This guy, great fish, by the way, okay? Right, Peyton? Okay, it's a good sized fish here. Huh? Ironic. Okay, it's ironic. Yeah, it's good little catch here. I found this, he's my Facebook friend, and I worked with him at the YMCA. He still works at the Y today, and he's a great guy. Anybody know Jonathan Bass? Anybody know? Okay, great guy. And let me tell you something. I became a director at the YMCA at the youngest age you could ever be a director, and that was 21 years old. Like the day I turned 21, they said, hey, you're going to be the team director and you're going to be the assistant sports director at the same time. It's great. It's awesome. I thought my career was going to be with the Y. I figured by now I could be possibly going, I went to get my master's degree in executive leadership so that I could possibly be a CEO one day at the Y. And man, I'm telling you what, I was trying to do everything I could possibly do to move up. Like I was at the Y more than I was at my house. Like I tried to stay all the time. I tried to do every single thing. Okay, I was just wearing myself out. And Jonathan came up to me one day, and Jonathan's my friend. But one day I didn't like Jonathan. Because Jonathan came up to me and he said, Ben, let me tell you something, man. Stop trying to grow up so fast. I was like, whoa. He's like, man, you're trying to be something you're not there yet, Ben. Dude, by the way, man, you're great. That's what he said. He said, dude, you're great. Don't get me wrong. But you need to slow down, man. Just be blessed where you are right now. I was like, whew, it's just tearing me up in a good way. And let me tell you that, okay? Like rebuke from a friend is a whole lot better than fools praising you. It's a whole lot better. Like if people excessively praise you all the time, that's a problem. That's not a true friend because they just want what you want all the time. And they think that what you want is the best all the time. Let me just tell you something. What you want all the time is not always the best. And to have those people in your life to say, listen, bro, let me just tell you something, man. And what you did, man, that's just wrong. I'm saying that because I love you. Don't lose those friends, y'all. Don't lose them. They're like gold. I'm telling you. So welcome that. Welcome the rebuke. Yeah, welcome praise, but at the same time, don't look at rebuke as something that is just like you're a horrible person or you're not worth anything. No. Rebuke is good. It's good for you. And so you must embrace it. The third thing is that the long haul is better than the shortcut. Not a lot of people like to take the long haul. They like to take the shortcut. Verses 7 through 9, it says, extortion turns wise people into fools, and bribes, okay, that's bribe is taking a shortcut, bribes corrupt the heart. Finishing is better than starting. Patience is better than pride. Control your temper, for anger labels you a fool. If somebody can't get somewhere on time, they're going to be angry. If they're not going to get to a particular place when they think they should be there or they, whatever, they're going to get mad. Let me tell you something. Patience is better than pride. It says it right here. If you can be patient, then the outcome is going to be so much better than if you're prideful and you're trying to get somewhere before you're supposed to get there. That's why one of the fruits of the Spirit, right, is love, joy, peace, patience. Patience shows that you have the Spirit living inside you, because I'm going to tell you something. Most people in this world, in the business world, in the school world, in athletics, and whatever, okay, on the road, okay, whatever, they're not patient. They want to get somewhere yesterday. And I'm telling you, I'm here. I'm going to have a hard time being patient. That means I'm a fool at times. Yeah, I'm a fool. I don't want to be. I want to work on that. And it's important for me to finish strong instead of just starting and trying to get somewhere quicker. The long haul is better than the shortcut. Listen, the shortcut may be easy, but let me just tell you something. The shortcut may not be the safest way. Just because you don't get there when you want to get there doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Maybe the reason why God has you going the long way is because He don't want you. You don't see the hurt that's coming in your life. He wants you to wait instead of trying to jump the gun. I'm not going to get into the sex talk here, but there's a lot of people in high school right now, even in middle school, that are having sex when they're not married. And they're trying to get somewhere before it's time to really get there. It's killing them, y'all. Oh, but it's a lot of fun for a very short time. And there's a lot of sadness and a lot of sorrow and a lot of grief and a lot of anger and a lot of regret because they want to get there too quick. Listen, take the long haul. It's a whole lot better than a shortcut. And finally, the fourth thing that he says is better is today is better than yesterday. So yesterday is the past and tomorrow is not promised. So you need to live for today. Verse 10 says it clearly. Don't long for the good old days. This is not wise. You probably have had a lot of people, and you've heard in your life, especially old people, hey, it's like the good old days. Listen, they just got a bad memory. They just don't remember the good old days because it was so bad. Don't look back. Don't try to plan ahead. That doesn't mean that you don't prepare, okay, or try to become something. But at the same time, listen, you don't have any control over yesterday. You don't have any control over tomorrow or the next day. Guess what? You have control over today. That's why today is better than yesterday. Stay in the day. Don't try to live in yesterday. Don't try to revisit those pains of yesterday. Listen, they're yesterday. Learn from them, move them on. Don't try to be something tomorrow, because let me just tell you something. If you try to do that, you're going to miss what God wants to do in you today. Live for today, y'all. Don't live for tomorrow. It's pointless. It's a pursuit not worth traveling. You don't even know if you're going to be able to pursue it. So pursue what you know you can pursue, and that's today. So sorrow is better than laughter. Rebuke is better than praise. A long haul is better than a shortcut. And today is better than yesterday. Listen, wisdom helps make life better. The second thing, write it down. The second thing is that wisdom helps us see life clearly. It makes life better and helps us see life clearly. When we use God's wisdom, we're able to see life clearly and accept and deal with life's circumstances. Life is going to throw you curveballs, and when they do, you're able to see clearly because you have wisdom. If you don't have wisdom, you're not going to be able to see life clearly. And Solomon points out two things here that are very important when it comes to seeing life clearly. The first one, as you see, is wealth. Verses 11 and 12. Read along with me. It says, wisdom is even better when you have money. Both are a benefit as you go through it. Wisdom and money can get you almost anything, but only wisdom can save your life. Wealth without wisdom is pointless. Let me just tell you something. I've had, every other week, every other couple weeks, okay, I have somebody to tell me, Ben, I lost my money. And sometimes I say, well, guess what? I have it right here in my pocket. Here's your $5. I found it. Or somebody found it. They gave it to me. But a wise person doesn't just lose their money. They're able to keep it for a long time. And I wish that just as easy as I gave somebody back their $5, I wish I could give you all wisdom. I wish I could. I wish I could give it back to you, because some of you guys, you just make foolish choices sometimes. You just make choices that you don't see the repercussions that come from it. And I wish I could say, man, I wish I could just give that back to you. I'm sorry you made that stupid mistake. Like, I just wish I could just give it back to you, but guess what? I can't. That's why I'm trying to give it to you now before you make that foolish choice that will cost you the rest of your life, whatever that is. Maybe physically, maybe spiritually. You got to be careful so that you can see life clearly. But a person that is wise and wealthy is great gain. So wealth and money, how you spend your money. The next thing, the way to see our life clearly, is adversity and prosperity. They're two opposite things. Adversity is obviously hard times. Prosperity is obviously good times. Verse 14 says, enjoy prosperity while you can. But when hard times, no, I want you to underline if you can. This is huge. But when, underline when, not if. It doesn't say, and if hard times strike. No. When hard times strike. Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. Ooh. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. So many people accept Jesus. Let me rephrase that. Some people accept Jesus because of what they think they're going to get from it. And when they don't get certain things, they don't believe in Jesus anymore. You see, a lot of people think that if I accept Jesus, then I'm going to get blessing upon blessing upon blessing upon blessing. They don't think burden upon burden upon burden upon burden, hard time, hard time, hard time. And when that hard time hits them, and it knocks them out, they blame God. You hear what I'm saying, y'all? They blame God for their problems, for the issues, for the hard times. They want to blame God. But listen, blessings are good. Burdens are good. Why? Because they both come from God. I've had many conversations with you about the hard times in your life. And let me tell you, when I saw you grow the most, it's not when God blessed you and 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 just kept blessing you, but when He put a burden on you, when it hurt, when it stunk to live life, when you didn't want to get up, but you got up anyway. I talked to a girl today and said, listen, I don't even want to come here. Like, I was just in a rut. Like, I just didn't even care, but I'm so glad I came. If she didn't want to come here today, and she just stopped coming, then that's not going to help her pursue life and pursue God. But she said, listen, I know I need to be here. That's adversity. That's fighting through adversity. And that is good. Man, that's so good. You see, God gives us blessings to make us happy. And He gives us burdens to keep us humble. God gives us blessings to keep us happy or to make us happy, and He gives us burdens to keep us humble. Why does God give us burdens? Let me tell you why God gives us burdens. You ready for this? So that we don't get to the point where we think we know it all. Let me just tell you, and I was there, and I'm not picking on you, okay, and I'm not trying to be a bully to you, but a lot of you think you have life figured out. You know all the answers. Your parents are dumb. They have no idea. They don't live in these times, okay? They have no idea what they're talking about. Listen, you're going to realize when you get older and you have kids that they knew what they were talking about. It may seem just weird and crazy right now, but they know what they're talking about. And so, when those times come, embrace them. Embrace adversity. Obviously, embrace prosperity. But embrace prosperity so that when the adversity comes, you can stay strong, y'all. You can stay strong in your walk with Christ. He wants us to see Him more than ourselves clearly. And finally, number 3, wisdom helps us face life stronger. Helps us face life stronger. Verse 19 says, one wise person is stronger than 10 leading citizens of a town. See, the wiser we get, the stronger we get. As we go through life, we want to get stronger in 2 areas. There are 2 areas that Solomon points out here that we need to get stronger in. The first one is sin. Verse 20, read along with me. Not a single person on earth is always good and never sins. Romans 3:10, for no one is righteous, no, not one. Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We're always trying to fight sin. A lot of us think, you know what, I don't sin that much. Let me just tell you something. There's 2 types of sin. There's sin of commission, which means things that you actually do. You commit sin, you lie, you cheat, you steal, you have sex before you're married, you kill somebody. Okay, those are sins of commission. There are also sins of omission. There are things that God is telling us to do that we don't do. Why? Because it's all about us. I guarantee you, every single person in here, God is telling you to do something, and you say, nah. You know what that's telling God? Man, forget you, God. You don't know what you're talking about. That's sin. That's not doing something that God would want you to do. And so we must fight through that, become wise in how we live so we become stronger in our walk with Christ. Also, in what people say, verse 21 and 22. Don't eavesdrop on others. Man, this is pretty, y'all can understand this. You may hear your servant curse you, for you know how often you yourself have cursed others. You see, these 2 verses address people that talk about you. And wise people, when people gossip about you, when people say things that are just wrong and negative and hateful, wise person, you know what a wise person does? A wise person just walks on. Just walks on. Don't really worry about it. But at the same time, y'all, we all know we've been a part of a conversation where we are the ones slandering others. We're the one talking bad about others. We're the one gossiping about other people. We're the one tearing people down, not building them up. So we've all been in this place where we have been sinned against, and we have sinned by what we say to others. So, before we move on in the series, we must understand the importance of being wise people. We have to be wise. So let me ask you a question. As of today, or as of late, what is it in your life that you're pursuing right now that is not the wisest thing for you to be pursuing right now? For some of you, it is gossip. You say, well, gossip's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, it's huge. It can tear somebody's life apart. It kills people every single day because people are gossiping, talking about them. It causes some people to commit suicide. Oh, really? Yeah, really. Some of you, you're pursuing a sport. You're pursuing academics, okay? I'm not saying don't go home and do your homework. Don't tell your parents I said don't go home and do your homework. But that's all you're about. Or you're pursuing a guy, you're pursuing a girl. The only reason you come here is to see that cute guy or that cute girl. That's wrong. What is it that you're pursuing? And so as the band comes up and we sing this last song, man, it's a great song. It's a great song. It's a song called Be Thou My Vision. And the second verse, I believe it's the second verse, that talks about Be Thou My Wisdom. It talks about wisdom. Listen, there are things in your life that you're focusing on, that you're putting a lot of stock in, and guess what? It's not Him. It's not God. And so during this time, as we end the service, I want you to sing this song out. Maybe for some of you it's in your heart because you're not pursuing God. You're pursuing pointless things. Listen, don't be a pointless pursuer. Don't go after pointless pursuits, y'all. Go after the Prince of Peace. Let's pray. Lord Jesus, help us to go after you. Help us to live a better life from our wise decisions. Help us to live a clearer life. Help us to live a stronger life because the person we're looking at is not a person that we can see on earth. It's not a hobby that we like. It's a person we can't see physically, but we see you so strongly, God. So, Lord, I know that there's somebody in here that you're calling, you're saying, listen, such, you are pursuing something that is so pointless. You need to be wise in this situation. God, I pray that you would speak to them so strong that they don't even know what hit them. God, that you would pinpoint anything in our life that we've put above you. You tell us to have no other gods but you. But God, we're pursuing something so strong that it's taking the place of your rightful place. So God, please convict us and help us to see you, that you're our only vision. In Jesus' name, and all God's people said, stand up, worship with us. Come to the altar if you need to, talk to God if you need to, and we'll conclude.